They say I was the luckiest woman in the Han Dynasty. They say a eunuch's handwriting mistake changed my destiny. They say I went from a beggar girl to the most powerful woman in China. That I guided 3 emperors. That I helped create the greatest golden age in early Chinese history. Lucky, that is what they call me. But let me tell you what lucky looks like from the inside. Lucky looks like an 8-year-old girl kneeling in front of a rich man's door, kowtowing until her knees bleed, begging for a piece of moldy corn cake for her 5-year-old brother who just fainted from hunger. That was me. That was my luck. It started in the dirt. My name is Dou Yifang. I was born at the end of the Qing dynasty, in a time of war. In a time when the whole world was on fire. My home was in Qinghe County. In the north, a small cold forgotten place. My father was a scholar, but when the wars came, scholars could not eat books. So he became a fisherman. He sat by the river every day, trying to catch enough fish to trade for grain. My mother was sick, always sick. She lay in bed most of the time, coughing, getting thinner. The whole family survived on the few coins my father brought home. I had an older brother, Chang Jun, and a younger brother, Guanggu. In winter, the 3 of us huddled together on the brick bed, sharing body heat, because we only had one thin blanket. I never knew what a full stomach felt like, not once, not in 8 years. Then autumn came early that year. The river turned cold. My father went out before dawn to catch more fish. He wanted to make soup for my mother, to help her get stronger. I cooked a pot of wild vegetable porridge. I waited. He did not come home. I took Chang Jun's hand and we walked to the river. An old man from the next village was standing by the deep pool, sighing, shaking his head. I saw my father's straw raincoat floating on the water. I screamed. I ran toward the water. The old man grabbed me and held me back. They pulled my father out hours later. His body was cold. My mother saw him and collapsed. She woke up coughing blood onto the blanket. She died a few days later, just like that. Both parents gone. Cheng Jun was 12, Guangguo was 5, I was 8. The middle child, the sister, and suddenly, the only one holding this family together. But what can an 8-year-old girl do? I dug wild vegetables. When I could not find any, I begged. I carried Guangguo on my back and knelt in front of houses, kowtowing, bleeding for a scrap of food. One day Guangguo fainted. I held him. I knelt in front of the Zhang family's gate. I hit my head on the ground, again, 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 until my knees were swollen and raw and red. They gave me half a piece of moldy corn cake. Guangguo woke up. He looked at me with his dirty face. He bit into the cake and said, "Sister, I am not hungry anymore. You eat some too." I looked at him, tears falling onto the cake. But I smiled and said, "I am not hungry, you eat." That was the first lie I ever told. It would not be the last. Later, I heard that the palace was looking for girls, common girls from decent families to work as servants. They would get food, a bed, and a monthly wage they could send home. I did not think twice. I signed up. Chang Jun walked me to the edge of the village. He pressed 3 copper coins into my hand. 3 coins. He had saved them for half a year, he said. Sister, take care of yourself in the palace. Do not worry about us. I held those coins. My palm was soaked with sweat. I said, brother, when I save enough money, I will bring you and Guangguo to the capital. We will never be separated again. But I knew going into the palace was like jumping into a river. You might survive, you might not. The palace was controlled by Empress Lü, Lü Hou, the most terrifying woman in China. They said 9 out of 10 girls who entered never came out alive. I was assigned to the laundry house. Every day I woke before dawn, washing clothes in freezing water. In winter, my hands cracked open. In summer, the clothes piled up like mountains. If I was even a little slow, the head maid would scream at me. I did not cry. I did not complain. I just worked harder, faster, quieter. Because every coin I earned could be sent home later. Because I was careful and never made mistakes. I was moved to serve Empress Lü, directly pouring tea, organizing documents, standing in the corner being invisible. The first time I saw Empress Lü, her presence hit me like cold water. She sat on her couch with a memorial in her hand. Her eyes were like ice. The maids around her did not dare breathe. Once, a servant girl accidentally spilled tea on her robe. Empress Lü did not say a word. She just waved her hand. A eunuch dragged the girl out. I never saw that girl again. From that day, I became even more careful. I walked softly. I spoke quietly. I kept my head down. I learned to read faces. When she was happy, I made the snacks she liked. When she was angry, I stood in the corner and disappeared. Over time, she trusted me a little. She let me help organize simple documents. I used those moments to teach myself to read, slowly, one character at a time. I survived day by day, character by character, coin by coin. Then Empress Lü decided to send palace girls to the kingdoms. 5 girls to each king. She called them gifts, but really they were spies. She wanted eyes in every corner of the empire. When I heard the news, my heart jumped. The state of Zhao. Zhao was close to Qinghe, my home. If I went to Zhao, maybe I could find out what happened to Guangguo. Maybe I could send him a message. I found the eunuch in charge of the assignments. His name was Eunuch Li. I gave him everything I had, 20 copper coins, 6 months of savings. Every single coin I grabbed his sleeve and said, Sir, please send me to Zhao. My brother is in Qinghe. It is close to Zhao. I just want to know if he is alive, please. He took the money. He patted his chest and said, Little Dou, do not worry. I will take care of it. You will go to Zhao. I promise. I was so happy I could not sleep for days. I lay awake imagining how I would find Guangguo, what I would say to him, how tall he must be now. Then the day came. I picked up my assignment paper. I read the words, not Zhao, Dai, the state of Dai, in the far north, near the border with the Xiongnu. the barbarian tribes, a cold, poor, forgotten place, even worse than Qinghe. I ran to find Eunuch Li. He waved me away. The document is already stamped, he said. It cannot be changed. Go pack your things. If you cause trouble, you will be punished. I looked at his cold face. I knew the money was gone. The promise was empty. My tears fell before I could stop them. The carriage left Chang'an at dawn. The wheels ground against the stone road. I pressed my face against the curtain and looked back. The shadow of Chang'an grew smaller and smaller. I thought of Changzhun's 3 copper coins. I thought of Guangguo's smile. I thought I will never see them again. I cried until my voice was gone, until I coughed up blood. The other 4 girls in the carriage, some laughed at me. Some told me to stop crying. But how could I stop? I felt like my entire life had been ruined by a eunuch's pen, by one wrong character on a piece of paper. The carriage traveled for more than half a month. When I stepped out, I was shaking from the cold. The winter in Dai was worse than anything I had imagined. The wind cut my face like a blade. The snow on the ground reached my ankles. We were brought to the king's hall. The 5 of us stood in a line waiting for King Liu Heng to see us. The other 4 girls fixed their hair. They painted their eyebrows. They wanted to look beautiful for the king. But I had cried too many times on the road. I had gotten sick. My face was yellow. My hair was a mess. I did not even have a decent dress. Standing among them, I looked like an ugly duckling. The first time I met Liu Heng was not in the hall. It was in the garden. I had sneaked out to get some fresh air. And I saw a young man in plain clothes, rough cotton, not silk. He was holding a hoe, digging in the dirt, planting vegetables. I thought he was a servant.
I tried to walk away, but he spoke first. Are you one of the new girls?
I nodded. He asked, You do not look happy. Why? All the sadness I had been holding inside the whole journey of tears and fear, it broke. I started crying. I told him everything. How I wanted to go to Zhao, how the eunuch took my money, how my brother was somewhere out there and I could not find him. I expected him to be annoyed like the eunuchs in the palace, but he just sighed and said, I understand that feeling, missing home. I have been here for over 10 years. I rarely go back to Chang'an either. Later I found out he was the King Liu Heng, King of Dai, son of Emperor Gaozu of Han. I was shocked. I thought kings wore gold and jewels and sat on high thrones. I did not expect a king who wore rough cotton and planted his own vegetables. Over time, I discovered that Liu Heng was not just simple. He was kind. He never acted like a king. He spoke to his servants politely. He loved his mother, Lady Bo, more than anyone. He visited her every day. Lady Bo was also kind. She knew I was sent by Empress Lü, but she did not treat me with suspicion. She let me sit with her and spin thread one winter day. She saw my cracked hands and gave me her own hand warmer. She said, You are a girl. Take care of yourself. Do not let the cold ruin your body. I held that hand warmer, and I felt warm for the first time since leaving home. Someone cared about me, like family. Liu Han came to see me often too. He asked about Qinghe, about my life. Sometimes he just sat beside me watching me spin thread, saying nothing. One day he asked, "Are you not afraid I am testing you after all? Empress Lü sent you here?" I looked into his eyes. I said, "I am just an orphan trying to survive. If you trust me, I will serve you and Lady Bo with everything I have. If you do not, I accept that too. I have nothing left to lose anyway." Maybe it was that honesty, that rawness, because not long after, he gave me a title, Lady Dou, and a room of my own. Then came children. First a daughter, Lu Piao, who would become Princess Guantao. Then a son, Lu Qi. Then another son, Lu Wu. I had roots. For the first time in my life, I had roots. In the year 180 before the Common Era, everything changed. Officials from Chang'an arrived at our door, led by Chancellor Chen Ping. They carried an imperial edict. They knelt before Lu Han. "Empress Lü is dead," they said. "Her clan has been destroyed. The officials of the court want you to return to Chang'an to become the emperor." I was sewing a cotton jacket for Liu Qi when I heard the news. The needle and thread fell from my hands. I ran to the hall. Liu Han was holding the edict. His hands were trembling. His face showed joy and fear at the same time. Lady Bo took his hand. She said, "This is heaven's gift to you. But be careful. Chang'an is not die. Watch every step." Liu Han turned to me. He said, "Yifang, you and the children are coming with me." I had no choice. From the day he gave me his name, my fate was tied to his. The road to Chang'an was long, and my heart was full of fear. I remembered Empress Lü's cruelty. I remembered the palace where girls disappeared. But what I did not expect was what happened after we arrived. Liu Han's first wife, his original queen, and her 4 sons all died within days, one after another. The palace whispered. Some said the queen was related to the Lü clan and was killed by the officials. Others said I had done it to clear the way for my son. When I heard those words, I was terrified. I had barely met the queen. How could I have harmed her? But I could not defend myself in the palace. Defending yourself is the same as admitting guilt. It only makes things worse. I just held my children tighter and told myself as long as they are safe, I can bear anything. Soon the ministers asked Liu Han to make me his empress and Liu Qi his crown prince. Liu Han asked for my opinion. I shook my head. I said, "Your Majesty, I come from poverty. I am not fit to be empress. Choose a noble woman instead." He held my hand. He said in my heart, "You are the best empress. No one is more worthy than you." And so the girl from Qinghe became the Empress of Han. When the imperial seal pressed down on the edict, I stood in the great hall. Hundreds of officials kneeling before me, and I thought of the broken house in Qinghe, the river where my father drowned, the doorstep where I knelt with bleeding knees. I never imagined I would stand here. The first thing I did as empress was search for my brothers. I sent a dozen eunuchs to Qinghe in different groups. After months of searching, they found Chengjun. He had been farming in Qinghe all these years, waiting for me. When I saw him, he was a tall man now. He fell to his knees and cried, "Sister, I thought I would never see you again." I held him. My tears would not stop. I said, "Brother, I am back. We will never be apart again." But Guangguo was still missing. I sent people everywhere. I was sick with worry. Every day I waited for news then. Half a year later, a eunuch brought a message in a blacksmith shop in Chang'an. There was a young man. He said he was from Qinghai. He said he had a sister named Dou Yifang. He said they were separated when he was a child. I had the man brought to me immediately. The moment I saw him, I knew. His eyebrows looked just like my father's, and on his hand a burn scar. From when he was little, I remembered that scar. I had put medicine on it myself. I grabbed him. I was shaking. I said, "Guangguo, it is me, your sister. Do you remember me?" He cried. He said, "Sister, I remember. I always remembered. I looked for you for years." I found out later that Guanggu had been kidnapped by traffickers when he was small, sold more than 10 times, finally sold to a blacksmith in Chang'an. He worked like a slave every day, but he never stopped looking for me. 3 copper coins, a burn scar, and 20 years of searching. That is what family looks like. In my 5th year as Empress, I got sick. It started with a cough, a fever, then my eyes began to blur. The imperial doctors tried everything. Nothing worked. One day I woke up and the world was dark, completely dark. My eyes were gone. I could no longer sew clothes for my children. I could no longer watch Liu Heng read his documents. I could not even walk without a maid holding my arm. And then his eyes moved away from me. He began to favor a woman named Lady Shen. She was young, beautiful. She could sing and dance. He took her to banquets. He let her sit beside me, as if we were equals. Once at a court banquet, a eunuch placed Lady Shen's seat right next to mine, side by side. A minister named Yuan Ang saw it and quietly moved her seat back. Lady Shen stormed out. Liu Heng left too. The banquet ended badly. I sat in the darkness. My heart felt like it was being pierced with needles. I knew I was old. I was blind. I could not hold his love anymore. A maid whispered to me, "Your Majesty, you should say something. Do not let Lady Shen be so bold." I shook my head. I said, "The emperor likes her. That is her good fortune. I am blind now. I cannot cause him more trouble." But inside I knew the truth. I could not fight for love, but I did not need to. I was the empress. Liu Qi was the crown prince. As long as those 2 things remained, I had ground to stand on. If I fought with Liu Heng over jealousy, I would only push him further away. It would make me look petty. It would hurt Liu Qi's position, so I swallowed the pain. And I waited. Later, Liu Heng came to me. He said, "Yifang, Lady Shen is young and foolish. Do not take it to heart." I held his hand. I said, "Your Majesty, I am fine, as long as you are happy. But the rules of the palace must be kept. If the inner palace falls into disorder, the outer court will follow." He did not reply. But from that day, he never let Lady Shen sit beside me again. In the dark, I could not see, but I could hear everything. which maid was currying favor with Lady Shen, which eunuch was speaking ill of me, which minister was loyal to Liu Qi. I kept it all in my mind. Every word, every name. I had my maids read government reports to me every day. Sometimes I offered Liu Han suggestions. Lower the taxes, let the people rest, encourage farming, store grain for disasters. He listened. He said, "Yifang, your mind is sharper than mine. You think of things I miss. I may have lost my eyes, but I never lost my mind." The person I loved most in this world after my brothers was my youngest son, Liu Wu. Liu Wu was 5 years younger than Liu Qi. His temper was like mine, stubborn and sensitive. After Liu Qi became emperor, I gave Liu Wu the kingdom of Liang, rich land. Large population, I sent him treasures. I wanted him to live like a little emperor. I told myself Liu Qi has the whole empire. Liu Wu only has Liang. If I love him a little more, give him a little more, he will suffer a little less. Then Liu Qi's health started failing. And I had a thought, a dangerous thought. At a family dinner, I leaned toward Liu Qi and said, "When you are gone, why not pass the throne to your brother Wu? That way, our family can stay together forever." Liu Qi paused. He did not refuse. He just said, "Mother, let me discuss it with the ministers." Liu Wu's eyes lit up. He looked at me with gratitude. But the ministers refused. All of them. Yuan Ang said, "Your Majesty, the throne passes from father to son. This is the rule set by Emperor Gaozu. If it passes to a brother, then the brother's son, then another brother, the whole system will collapse. There will be war." My nephew Dou Yifang also spoke against me. He said, "Aunt Yuan Ang is right. You cannot break the ancestors' rules because you love one son more." I was furious. I banned Dou Yifang from the palace. I said, "Since you will not help our family, do not come through these doors again." But I made a terrible mistake. I did not see what my love was doing to Liu Wu. When Liu Wu heard the ministers had blocked his path to the throne, he was angry. So angry that he did something unforgivable. He sent assassins to Chang'an. They killed Yuan Ang. When I heard this, my body went limp. I collapsed into my chair. I grabbed Liu Wu's hand and cried, "My son, how could you be so foolish? Killing a minister is a death sentence. You are pushing yourself into the fire." Liu Wu knelt before me. He was shaking. He said, "Mother, I'm sorry. I just wanted to be emperor. I wanted to stay with you forever. I did not think it would come to this." Liu Qi was furious. He wanted to arrest Liu Wu. I knelt before Liu Qi.
I cried for an entire day and night. I begged Liu Wu as your only brother, my youngest son. Please spare him. I am begging you. Liu Qi sighed. He said, "Mother,
It is not that I do not want to forgive him, but his crime is too great. If I forgive him, how do I face the ministers? How do I face the people?" In the end, Liu Qi did not execute Liu Wu, but he divided Liang into 5 small kingdoms, and he kept Liu Wu there, never allowed to return to Chang'an. I watched Liu Wu leave. His back was bent, his eyes were empty. I thought I was protecting him, but I had destroyed him. If I had never pushed for the throne, he would still be happy in Liang, living his quiet life. My love had become a poison. In the year 144 before the Common Era, Lü Wu died in Liang. When I heard the news, I coughed up blood. I cried, "It is my fault. I did this to him." I did not eat for 3 days. I almost followed him. It was Princess Guangtao who saved me. She said, "Mother, you still have me. You still have your grandchildren. If you leave, what will we do?" I looked at her face, and I pulled myself back because there was still work to do. There was still an empire to guard. Liu Qi's health failed too. On his deathbed, he held my hand. He said, "Mother, Liu Qi is only 16. He is still young. You must guide him. Do not let him make mistakes." I nodded. I said, I will watch over him. I will make sure he rules well." Liu Qi became Emperor Wu of Han, and I became Grand Empress Dowager. Liu Qi was fire, pure raw burning fire. The moment he took the throne, he wanted to change everything. He brought in Confucian scholars. He wanted to end the old philosophy of doing nothing and replace it with action. He wanted to take back the power from the local kings. He wanted to control the money, the salt, the iron, and most of all, he wanted to attack the Xiongnu, the barbarian tribes who had humiliated China for decades. I understood his heart. I even admired his courage, but I was afraid. The Han Dynasty had just come through the golden age that Liu Hang and Liu Qi had built. We called it the prosperity of Wen and Jing, but the foundation was still not thick enough. If Liu Qi went to war now, it would drain the treasury. If he stripped the local kings of power too quickly, they might rebel. If he pushed the Confucian reforms too hard, the old guard would resist. I called Liu Qi to me. I said, "Grandson, your ambition is good, but you must not rush. The people need more time to rest. The country needs more time to grow rich. Wait until the foundation is strong enough, then reform, then fight, then change the world." But Liu Qi was young. He was impatient. He said, "Grandmother, times have changed. If we keep using the old methods, we will fall behind. The Xiongnu will keep bullying us." We argued many times. He would not listen. So I used the only power I had left, my title, my authority. I removed the officials who supported his reforms. I blocked the new policies. 2 of his most aggressive reformers were imprisoned. They took their own lives. Liu Qi was furious. He stopped coming to see me for days. My maids said, "Grand Empress Dowager, do not push the emperor too far. He is the ruler after all." I shook my head. I said, "I am not trying to fight him. I am trying to protect what Liu Hang and Liu Qi built. He is young. He does not understand how hard it is to govern. When he grows up, he will understand." And he did. Slowly, he calmed down. He began to listen. He came to me again. He asked for advice. He learned how to manage ministers, how to balance power, how to handle the Xiongnu without starting a full war. Not yet. I watched him grow, day by day, from a hot-headed boy into a thoughtful ruler. I knew when I was gone, he would become the greatest emperor China had ever seen. He just needed time. and I gave him that time. In the year 135 before the Common Era, I knew my time was near. Liu Che sat beside my bed. His eyes were red, like a child's. I held his hand. My fingers were so thin now, so light. I said, Liu Che, grandmother is leaving. Remember, this governing must be both strong and gentle. Be kind to the people, do not let them suffer. Be firm with the Zhongnu. But do not fight until the time is right. Use loyal men, stay away from flatterers. Do not let power blind you. He nodded. He said, Grandmother, I will remember your words for the rest of my life. I called Princess Guangtao. I gave her everything I owned. She was my only surviving child. All I could leave her was money and love. I said, take care of Liu Che, help him when he needs it. She cried. She nodded. I closed my eyes, and I was back by the river in Qinghai. My father was fishing. My mother was sewing. Chenjun and Guangguo were running beside me, laughing. The sun was warm. The wind smelled like grass. Life was hard then, so hard. But my heart was at peace, not like the years on the throne, where every step was careful, where every word was measured, where I always feared falling from the top. People say I was lucky, that a eunuch's mistake made me empress. Maybe, but luck did not keep me alive in Empress Lü's palace.
Luck did not make Liu Hang love me. Luck did not help me survive going blind. Luck did not protect my sons from their own ambitions. What kept me alive was something simpler. I never gave up.
Not when my parents died. Not when I begged for food with bleeding knees. Not when I was sent to the wrong kingdom. Not when the world went dark. And I never forgot where I came from. Even when I wore the empress's crown, I remember the moldy corn cake. Even when I sat above 1,000 ministers, I remember the 3 copper coins my brother pressed into my hand. Some people say I was too stubborn, that I blocked Liu Che's reforms, that I held the empire back. Maybe they are right. Maybe I was too careful, too afraid, too old. But I was not trying to stop the future. I was trying to protect the present. Because I knew from my own life that everything can be taken away in one moment. A father drowns. A mother dies. A eunuch writes the wrong word. And your whole world changes. So I held on tightly to the rules, to the stability, to the peace that Liu Hang and Liu Qi and I had built with our own hands, because I knew how fragile it all was. So tonight, let me tell you something. Maybe you feel like your life has been full of wrong turns, wrong kingdoms, wrong assignments. Maybe someone made a mistake with your name, your file, your future. And now you are standing in the snow in a place you never wanted to be. Do not cry too long. I cried on that carriage for half a month, and you know what? The wrong place turned out to be the right place. The cold, poor, forgotten kingdom of Dai was where I found the kindest man I ever knew. The man who planted vegetables with his own hands. The man who became emperor. Sometimes the mistake is the miracle. Sometimes the wrong road leads to the only home you were ever meant to have. You do not need to be born noble. You do not need to see clearly. You do not even need luck. You just need to keep standing. Keep walking, keep your eyes open even when they cannot see. And one day, You will look back at that moldy corn cake, at those 3 copper coins, at that eunuch's terrible handwriting, and you will think that was where it all began. Good night, sleep well, and tomorrow, keep walking. Good night.